just mention one other thing
Oh,
quickly?
yeah, one more thing. Sorry, since we have the table.
We are trying to do more community-based programming.
I'm going to pop you under public comments now because
that's fine.
It's not really on the agenda.
All right, thank you.
So I will call public comments to order. And no,
You can stay right there.
Stay.
Be number one.
But you're going to do it under public comments because
Okay.
I don't want to be in violation of
That's
nothing on the,
Anyway, we're happy
Thank
to
you.
do these community events to bring more people into this center, into the senior center. Last 2 years, we worked very hard on changing the holiday fair. It became bigger. We raised more money. This year, what we'd like to do is have a Living Treasures Awards. It's going to be a pasta dinner on October 3rd. And what that is we're going to ask people in the community to nominate people 60 and over that have made positive contributions to the town of Woodbridge and have really, their volunteerism have truly impacted the town. So enclosed is a save the date. There's a letter that's going to be going out to different community organizations asking for nominations, and our save the date program along with the nomination sheet.
And a nominating form, which can also be found at the town website.
Wonderful.
So we're hoping all the boards and commissions, I'm going to do a little PSA here, we're hoping all the boards and commissions will promote this at each one and hopefully buy tables at this event and help raise some money for the center for some of our other programming needs. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Okay. We already opened public comments, but as I always do, I have to preface public comments with a comment. Because our agenda is very full again tonight, we're going to limit comments to no more than 2 minutes. Please don't feel you have to go on that long. If you can make it shorter, it's fine with us. Sometimes shorter is more powerful. If several of you are in agreement and want to have one person make a summary statement, I would ask that you sign the sheet that indicates your support of the statement being made. Again, please remember we have all the correspondence and the petition pages here. And Bonnie, your letter did get out to everyone as soon as you gave it to me, so thank you. And I think there was another letter from someone, a member of the public last week that we sent. As soon as we get them, we shoot them out. So Betsy's going to be our timer tonight, and we'll have a timer and an audible chime when 2 minutes are up. And you want to play it, or that's what it sounds like. We did this last time.
Sort of.
A little fun.
Okay.
It's okay. We'll just have it ready after. There you go. That's what it sounds like.
Loud and annoying.
Do we have a sign-in sheet, or are we just having folks coming up?
I have one ready, but I'll put one up.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'll put a pen. Except.
So with that, I'll open public comments or continue public comments. Just step up and sign in. Come on up.
Would somebody else put this up there, please? Thank you.
Right. My name is Sean Gilshannon.
I saw a tail wagging back
Well,
there.
then this is Otis.
Hi, Otis.
I think regarding the dog park, you're overthinking it. You're actually giving governance its X degree to the point of ridiculousness. There are a lot of young families with kids and dogs. Let's have the dog park at the cornfield. This is a duh thing. It is duh. And you all need to recognize that and get over the other things. I will vote against any one of you who vote against it. And I will make sure that my friends vote against you if you vote against it. Okay? Done.
Thank you.
Can I have you write this?
Sure. 44.
I can't think of a better way not to have it there.
He's so mellow.
Huh?
Anybody else?
That's not even true.
Hi, I'm Adrienne Beachy Smith, 17 Ansonia Road in Woodbridge. Just a quick question. Nothing was said about the. Maybe I missed something in some of the publications that have come out, but what's going on with the possible solar option at the country club?
We got a preliminary proposal from someone which was distributed, but nothing's going on. We just got it in the last few days. It hasn't been considered in any way. Am I right? There's not really
No.
anything.
There's
I can give you a
somebody reached out
copy
to
of
us.
it.
You can get a
Somebody
copy.
who reached out to us who wanted to do a proposal, so I put it in the packet for the selectmen to see, because we haven't talked about it at all. We weren't going, it was more of a informational thing tonight.
It's
We
not
can
going to
give
be
you-
talked about?
Excuse me?
I'm just trying to figure out what the status, it's not going to be talked about?
Not tonight, no.
Or not at all?
We don't know yet. We just
You
got
can
the,
give it
we
to
just got the proposal, so we
Okay.
haven't,
There's a copy.
you can have Joe's copy.
Okay, let me just,
To
let me
take a
sign
peek
myself
at it.
in.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's today, the 13th?
Yep,
Sorry, Jerry, I'll get it in a second.
No problem.
take your time.
Just my name? You all know me.
Yes.
Most of you know
I
me.
know you as a curtain call.
And as a very vocal person here when it comes to the golf course. Thank you, Jerry. Thanks, John.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Amy Morella, 184 Raymond Road. I'd like to first off thank you for referring the dog park proposal to TPZ for review of the Alleghi options. I'm a little confused because I wasn't quite sure where that motion was saying we're done, provided we get the approvals from TPZ, or whether we're in a situation where unfortunately we still have two groups with different views, and I have to go and continue to get signatures, which I put on hiatus. But we do have many potential people to sign. I would say that continuing the controversy by continuing the two options creates a very bad precedent for the town. Having been a first selectman, I think the difficulty here is we're just upping the ante for what will be even more controversial issues like the Country Club of Woodbridge. So I'm very concerned about the tone and where we're headed. That being said, I would like to make a suggestion to the selectmen that given that you're now looking at alternatives for the country club, that you ask the Recreation Commission or whoever else you think is appropriate to look at the holistic list of various recreational wish list in the town plan, which did include a dog park and does include a dog park, and ask them to look at the country club and lay out a map, because I think our town will make much more intelligent decisions. We have some understanding of what it is people want in the foreseeable future for recreation, whether it be a 90-foot diamond or anything else that's on that list, and some understanding of where it could go at the country club or elsewhere.
Are you talking about the dog park at the country club?
No, I'm
No.
at this point.
'Cause
I will do what I have to do in terms of raising signatures if I have to raise signatures and make phone calls and all that. But what I'm saying is that you're looking at the country club, and therefore for sale or other options, whether it be solar or something, one of the things that's the perennial issue in this town is where to put recreation stuff. There is an entire list in the town plan of what they want, which went through the town plan process. And perhaps it would be useful for the town as a whole, for the Recreation Commission or whomever else you think is appropriate, to go through some kind of potential siting exercise so we understand, you know, if a leggy is used, the ball field option is used, or they think there's a better option for a ball field at the country club, etc. We just seem to operate as a town always as sort of opportunistically as opposed to more comprehensively, and I think there's an opportunity here to do things a little differently. So I would recommend that you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Only coming up if no one else is going to come up. Bonnie Blake, 64 Beecher Road. I already sent you an email, so I just keep this brief. Basically, the feedback I've been getting in the last couple of days What is that? Is that feedback?
Flip phone.
Oh, is that if the, I don't know what the 3 areas are that you're talking about. Unfortunately, we don't know that. It sounds like maybe it's the 3-acre parcel next to Pease Road and the small strip where the light poles are.
There's 3 places
And then the dog leg, I call it, the 1.5 acre behind the, okay.
behind
So it's,
the containers.
it's not, we're not talking about the roughly 3 acres that's behind people's houses that's landlocked. That goes parallel to center and perpendicular to Pease.
No, I think it's
I don't
the
think so.
location that's parallel to Pease, in between Pease Road and the parking lot. I believe, right?
There's a
See?
There's
from
a
the
there's a
map?
3-acre parcel. It's called 160 Pease Road. That just it's 3.04 acres.
Right. Is that the place where the house, where that we're going to actually have it looked at as well?
Okay, and then immediately adjacent to that, Sheila had told me, is a narrow strip
That's
where
along where the light
poles are.
And then there's another spot.
That's right behind the storage containers that
Correct.
goes like that.
Right.
But the spot behind that goes left to right is not in contention.
There's a big grassy area behind,
It's about 3 acres.
you know, the one that, you know, where the.
Well, what kind? We asked for an. I don't think
But
so.
I don't think.
I don't think
I
that
think the
that's.
answer's no.
I thought that was one. It was lush and gorgeous, but very wet. And 2, it's right in people's backyard. So that's it. So if the wet area, pardon my, but the area where the storage containers are that we walked in.
Behind.
We do know from Chris Sullivan that about 2/3 of that location is a designated wetlands, and the rest, according to Terry Gilbertson, it gets very bogged down and muddy. But if that were selected, unfortunately, we've been told that some of the people who've pledged the biggest chunks of money aren't going to give it to us, and so that I'm not trying to threaten or be negative. It's a reality in this world that if they don't like, they're not going to spend the money, and or they're not going to come out and volunteer to clean up and do it. So that's the burden that we're facing, or the challenge, I should say. If the baseball diamond is selected, I got an hour and a half earful from the baseball people. And I mean, I had to put the phone down and walk away and take a deep breath. I mean, if you think the tree people are going to give us a hard time, wait till you find out what Mom Apple Pie and baseball does to you. I would much rather face the tree people than the baseball people. We are going to be the most hated people in the world. And you talked about that was much more controversial than Fitzgerald. And I don't want to spend the next 7 years of my life like Terry did, fighting the land trust and the baseball people. I will give up really soon. I'm sorry. I just will. I just don't have the heart for it. That's it. And the country club, I asked the rec commission if they would consider that for the baseball field. And the same reason why we kind of don't know what to do about the dog park is that the town doesn't know what to do about the country club. And I think that there's too many things going on for people to wait for multiple years to get these things going. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Excuse me. Locations are Litchfield. Should be on here.
Bob Brightenstein, Seymour Road, Woodbridge, Connecticut. As a community, because we can't seem to come to grips with this dog park issue, as a community, I feel that we're failing, and we're failing miserably. You have the votes and the petition to have the property at Fitzgerald converted into a dog park. It's already a structure. It's there. You don't have to pay extra in order to occupy it with the dogs. The Chestnut Foundation, a question. Are they residents of Woodbridge?
No.
Are they?
No.
So why do they exert such an influence in this town? Why? How? Who let that happen? Who let it happen? I know it didn't happen under your administration, but it happened somehow. And somehow they have exerted both a political and an outrageous influence on this particular situation. You mentioned the alleged property. Why duplicate the same experience with the country club? The alleged property creates exactly the same country club situation. Nobody goes there. Nobody went there to play golf. Not enough. Why ignore the people who show up daily with dogs at the Fitzgerald property and walk their dogs? Fully 40-50% of the cars there that stop contain dogs, and the people walk their dogs. What's wrong with that? If they want to choose to have a place for the dogs to play, it's already there. Who is Brian Pines? Does he have a dog? Does he walk his dogs there? Did he even build that property? What does he have to do with it, except that he's a president and is exerting, again, an influence that is so destructive? Why? How does that happen? These are the real issues. It's an issue now of civility. It's an issue of politics. Bonnie had to go to the Republican people and talk to them. Why? Republicans, Democrats, we're all residents of the same town. What's it all about? Why does it go on and on and on without a resolution? I've heard about
these questions or what? Just let them ramble on.
Pardon me?
I'm just asking if we should answer
Generally,
any of the
don't
questions.
have a conversation in public comment.
I think it's 2 minutes is up. Isn't it?
Yeah.
It is up.
ADA compliance. It's not ADA compliant for anything right now. So why is that becoming? I've heard all sorts of issues which are both hypocritical and they make no sense relative to the way the park is being run right now. So that's about as much as I have to say right at the moment.
Thank you.
There's another location that should be on our grid. It's down on Litchfield Turnpike. And I know the dog park people don't like it.
that. Could you say?
I say there's another location, at least from my perspective, it's on Litchfield Turnpike, kind of across the street from the Darling House. That's physically, geographically, would be perfect for a dog park. It should be on our grid so at least we can note the pros and cons. I mean, listen, we know that
I think it was at one point, and then
Took
we
it off.
took it off. I remember, but we can go back and look. Sure, I think
well, I
it
would
was
put
there.
it back on.
Sure. Okay. Anything else? Oh, come on up again.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Oh,
You should come up first, Rain, because you're.
I'll sign this afterwards. I'm just going to make this very quick. I loved going on the field trip, and I really saw a lot of great things at the Alleghi property. My only concern is the wetlands, and I would like to hear that report as soon as you get it. The other thing I would say is the Darling property is, in our opinion, very isolated, and I just don't think people will go there. To back up what my dear friend Bob has said, though, is the fact that we do see Fitzgerald Fields as a recreational area for a large percentage of the population that's already going there with their dogs. However, I do believe that that could exist perhaps at Alleghi if it were, frequented by the core group who go to Fitzgerald. It could become popular, but they're not going to take their dogs to wetlands, nor should they. So that's the only thing I would say, is that we need a dry, safe spot. I liked everything I saw at Alleghi, centrally located. These are the items we're looking for. You know what they are: centrally located, visible, safe, flat. I like the fact that it had water, but you have to take into consideration that area behind the containers is going to be more expensive for us in the long run because we're going to have a lot more clearing of the land. I was really in favor of that grassy area that's being considered by the baseball league, but I, as a former school teacher for most of my life, do not want to take anything out of the hands of children. So, I like that property, but only if they are no longer pursuing it. And that's really all I had to say.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to table the dog park. Because we can't please anybody in this, so as far as I'm concerned, do away with
Let's
it.
give it another meeting.
Do away with it.
Let's give it another meeting. Okay.
Make it quick.
Yeah.
Sean
Take your
Shannon,
2 minutes.
44 Oak Hill Lane.
This guy.
I'm directing my response to you,
Yeah, please do.
Mr. Day. The cornfield area represents a place for community to get together. Many of us have dogs. A lot of us are young families. Younger than a lot of people on this board, younger than a lot of people here. It's one of Woodbridge's issues, right? What can we do to get young families together, to make it more vibrant? It's in the middle of town. It brings us together. Don't put us on the edge. I don't want to be on the edge.
Does he know where Alleghi is? Do you know where the Alleghi property is?
Help me out.
No, it's a fair question because the way you're speaking.
I said help me out. Give me a coordinate.
Well, Fitzgerald is
I know where Fitzgerald
Right
is.
over
You tell
there.
me where this is.
Corner of Peace.
half a mile down, 3/4 of a mile down.
The
on
soccer
corner
field,
of
there's a
Peace.
playground there. Peace Place playground is there. It's
Yeah,
there. It's,
okay.
So if you can want to come here,
It's-
I'm sure you can want to go there.
it's pretty.
It's not
Sure.
on
So
any edge.
why are we
Not on
going
any
back
edge.
and forth on this to the nth degree?
Well, I don't think
Fish
we
and
actually.
cut bait. Let's go.
I'm not gonna-
Okay.
I honestly think you're overthinking this, and I will vote any of you out who don't vote on the
We
cornfield.
heard that the last time.
I would like to say that we are all volunteers here.
I know,
We
and I
do not
appreciate
appreciate your threats.
that. No, I have a vote, sir. I have a vote, and I just said I will vote out.
Okay, that's it.
I just said.
Please
I
don't
just said.
come here and
this.
make threats.
I think, quite frankly.
my piece, sir.
And that's fine. He's in touch. But I think,
That's my right.
I
That's
think,
my
quite
right.
frankly, the longer this goes on,
I agree.
the more I'm inclined to just table this thing because we can't find a location that
Okay.
anybody can.
Well, hopefully
agree
we can
to.
get this data very soon and make a
Maybe.
decision. All
We'll
right.
see.
Okay. All
Too
right.
many more nights like this, and
Okay.
I think we should just do away with
Okay.
it.
All right. Thank you. And we're not ready for public hearing yet, so we'll move on to Recreation Department,
comment.
item 10. Have I skipped anything? I tend to do
I think
that.
the public hearing was the Neighborhood Assistant Act.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. We have a request in our packet from the Recreation Department for a banner advertising the road race. They usually put it up along the Center Road field fence from September 15th this year through October 13th. And the road race this year is on Saturday, October 6th, 2018.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Item 10.
10.
We had to skip 8 because it's timed for 7 o'clock. So we have to wait.
Oh, I see.
Got that part? Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve the road race banner to be put up on the Center Road field fence from September 15th to October 13th, 2018. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I
Did you want to make a motion, Joe? You seem to be...
No, I feel very strongly that we should just table this dog park and let them sit on that for a while because no one in this town can agree. Not no one in this town, but the
I
constituencies.
have to tell you, I thought that
cannot
my
agree.
motion, now that we're... Can I talk about this now?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that my motion was to give them a place to put the dog park, which was on those 2 properties.
Well, I think we
They don't
just,
want it.
I think we referred it for data to
Right.
see if they, to inform
But at
our
least give them an
decision.
address to begin doing their fundraising.
They don't want it there.
They said they're gonna lose their funders for that.
Well, that's the one piece.
No. That's section A.
That's
but
the
if
one
we-
piece.
So that's why I wanted them to look at all three, with us doing it concurrently.
You know, I don't blame them for taking a position, but the position always comes back to the chestnut tree,
Yep.
no matter what we offer.
Right.
And then when we have people who are against them at the chestnut tree, so I mean, we can't even offer them really a legitimate alternative, and they just keep coming back at us and saying, so table it, let them
Okay.
sit around for a while.
Well, why don't we get some data, and then maybe we won't put it on next month's agenda. We'll take
Big
a look.
countdown.
It's up. We'll talk about it. I don't know.
Well, we'll get the
Wanna-
data and we'll see.
Yeah, we certainly can't do the flagging until after July 1st. So,
Right.
and I don't know how long it's going to take or anything like
Well,
that.
I don't think we should invest any money in
I don't either.
testing or doing anything if we don't think that it's like going to come to
Well,
fruition there.
the-
Because why would the town invest? So what we had to do for the playground was go through the various departments and get the required approvals for the site that we chose, and then we had to give them reasons why we chose the site, what other sites we looked at, why they weren't, in our opinion, the best one. And then we put our sketch on a leggy on the piece of property, and then we came to the board for the final approval. So the board didn't tell us where to go. We chose a piece of land, and we pursued it, and we moved forward. I think they need to do the same, and then we vote on what they ultimately come with. If they want to say, we only want
That's a
this
great idea.
right?
But they
And then I
already
think
chose
that,
a piece of land. They chose the
They've
Fitzgerald
already
property.
But we didn't vote. Well, we didn't vote on it.
but we never
Certainly,
voted on it.
you want us
We're
to
just
vote
trying
on-
to,
Should we
you
vote on the
know,
Fitzgerald next month?
appease
Well, the
everyone.
reason we did that is because Coupon sent it back to us.
Right.
Because they're advisory only, right?
In follow-up,
But they
But they
couldn't
didn't
come
even.
up. They could
But they
not
didn't
come
even
up.
offer
They
advice.
said to us,
They just said, "You guys."
"You guys
do it."
find a place. We agree with the concept of a dog park.
So,
Goodbye." They didn't want to pick a place.
but the other thing is, I agree with you in terms of spending money, even though it's a small amount. But beyond that, I think it's really the practical matter. It's not whether or not it's technically wetlands. The question is it wet? Because I think we can all agree we don't want to say, here's your location if it's physically
Totally
practically
mud
wet.
all the time.
If it's
Right.
mud.
Right.
And if they, so it,
That's why I thought it would be helpful to do that, even though it.
But that only that doesn't determine that it's wet. You know,
Well, you were there. I mean,
it looked dry when I was there.
It was dry when
But
we
I'm
were there.
told that it gets.
if you go further west, it gets more wet.
Yeah.
That's why it's on the map in a tubular this way versus this way.
I mean, my opinion is that shouldn't really be I don't think that's a viable location. I just think it's
The
too
Alleghi
wet.
or item
That
A?
A, not
Okay.
the
All
Leggy.
right.
The Leggy A.
Okay.
But there's, according to my calculation, there's enough land on that 52 meadow part and the 160 Ps to accommodate both a 90-foot diamond and that dog park. You may have to put a buffer in, a tree buffer in there with something.
I'm sure there probably is.
Okay. Well, we could look at that.
I mean,
All right. So what's the
But
consensus of the board? What do you want to do?
Particularly since the letter we got from ACO, from Karen,
Right.
indicates her opinion is we should only have 1
1
acre
acre.
versus
She said
1
they
and a
don't
half.
need 1.5.
So
Right.
that
Right,
gives
that's
you more
true.
room to play
So
with.
one of the things that we've done in the past is have they both have very strong opinions. You can sit down with each other and try and figure out, talk to each other, discuss it, and try and come up with a proposal and come back to board with one proposal followed.
Right.
And if not, then you can always table it. So it's
Right.
everybody has some
We shouldn't make
incentive.
the decision, but let
We
them
shouldn't
do
make the
all
decision.
the,
And they should work
legwork.
together. Everyone should work
Absolutely.
you know how
Well,
that's
I'm in
gonna
favor of that.
But
I
no,
like working together.
I mean,
I don't know if it's going to
There
work.
might be other
Fitzgerald.
areas that they could come up with
Yeah.
working together. I don't know.
I don't think so.
No one has skin in the game.
We have a lot of space in
You
this
think that would
town.
actually happen?
We have a lot of
They'd
places.
actually be?
I don't know.
Not open with park,
But you know, there are dog parks that aren't a traditional 1 acre. I mean, I'm
Right,
not
they
saying
have
that we should
pocket-
take our walking trails, but Lake Mohegan in Fairfield has this amazing dog park, which is a walking trail, and it runs adjacent to the water. And on any given day, it's packed. And we have plenty of walking trails, and we have
do, but they're not in the center of town.
Right.
That would work. In
Right.
other words, you could do that at Elsersley. You can do that down on Litchfield where I'm talking about, because the day I was there, a lady came bounding up with 2 loose dogs up through the trail. They do it now as
Right.
it is.
Right.
But I don't think that satisfies
Right.
this dog park cooperative.
Tough if they have a big wish list.
We usually don't.
We don't.
It's okay.
if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay, sure.
We're trying to
We're
solve
trying to
this.
solve
We're
this.
trying to
No,
solve
and I understand that.
So you may
and
ask.
I appreciate that. You're saying they. I'm a valid hater of pronouns, but you're saying they. I take it there's multiple fractions of dog park people.
Well, the they, I think we're
Think
referring
the
to as the Woodbridge
cooperative.
Dog Park Cooperative. It's a group that is, informally together to support this.
But it was stated you're not sure they would come together. Like there's multiple parts.
There's another
There's
group.
an equally sizable, maybe not quite as big, group that's against putting it at the Fitzgerald. So
In the
there's
Chestnut Grove.
In the Chestnut
Right.
Grove.
Right.
We had 2 petitions
So
that we
those are-
received.
There's
One from a
dueling
group in
petitions,
favor of,
dueling
one
arguments,
opposed.
dueling.
have to be the Chisholm.
But But thank you.
Yeah.
So my second question is, and I spent a little time, I'm trying to get up to speed, and I spent a little time on the Woodbridge site. And everything seems to be, it's agenda, it's a little all over the place. It's arranged as Drupal would allow it to be arranged rather than logically. That's just my opinion. Is there a place where you could go to see through the timeline as to how all this developed and how we got here?
I don't think it's up there yet,
No.
but if you want to come in and visit, we'll give it to you. Make an
Great.
appointment, come on in, and we'll go over the whole thing with you.
And if you would do
Are you
that,
back?
I would
Of
put
course.
it online. That's
That's
fine.
our job.
No, and I understand
It's
that.
my job.
And if there's a place where,
Minute?
Sure.
gee, we looked at Fitzgerald, it was voted on this, here's the blueprint for it, here, all of these documents in a row so that we can give it speed.
It might be,
I will make an
in
appointment.
different places, but we'll get it
That's
all for
fine.
you.
I will make an appointment.
Sure.
Thank you for the
Okay.
2 questions.
Call Mrs. Shaw and she'll, we'll set something up.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we gotta get back to our agenda here. We totally digressed.
What was the consensus? You asked for a consensus?
Yeah, what is the consensus of the board to proceed? Do you want to just spend the next month trying to at least get the referral that we
Well,
voted
we have
on?
to-
Well, we voted on it, so I think we.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so I think that's.
Let's wait
right.
for the
See,
referrals.
we'll get as much as we can, all right?
So in
And
other
then we'll
words,
come
we're
back.
going to go ahead with our referral for an 824.
Yes, that's what.
All of it, that was in the motion, because we did motion to do that, and unless we want to take it back. Okay. Where were we? We did the
We're at
banner.
11,
Yay.
Tony's.
11
Okay.
for a public hearing. 7.
Yeah,
oh,
we
no,
can't
7.
do it yet, so we skipped it. Okay, should we start with Tony? We're glad to go ahead.
Yeah.
Number 11?
Sure.
Shoot, okay,
Okay.
yay.
Thank you.
Thank
I have
you.
a report for a year end, which is a budget surplus of $280,000. The tax results of our recent tax appeal, our tax collections have experienced slightly larger deficit than reported last month of $125,000. Interest income has a surplus of about $125,000. Our total deficit for state aid is about $157,000. This is up from we received additional ECS funding and state construction funding reimbursement.
They're not going to get one. They keep it up this way.
Department charges have a shortfall of about $50,000, and our last revenue item is a slightly under $300,000 unbudgeted revenue and from Amity surplus. Woodbridge Board of Education is reporting a $120,000 deficit, as Bob indicated earlier. Waste Management has a surplus of $20,000. Human Services have a surplus of about $15,000, mainly due to staffing vacancies throughout the year of part-time personnel. Same issue in Recreation, probably a surplus of about $20,000, again due to some part-time vacancies throughout the year. And finally, the Amity District is reducing its current year application by just under $240,000 due to receipt of the special education excess cost funds. That's up from last month also. So all in all, things are a bit more favorable than they were last month.
That's good.
Okay.
Anybody says anything about weather?
Just wait 2 more weeks.
I know,
And then you
please.
can have
Remember
some
Matt
dialogue.
said something, and next thing you know, we have a tornado or something. Thank you very much, Tony. Moving on to 11B is tax refunds. In your packet is a note, a memo from Pat Crisco, our tax collector, recommending that, let's see, she says there's no personal property refunds or real estate refunds. Motor vehicle refunds are $3,077.68. So that is the total refunds for June. Someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And I'll second, sorry. Okay, anyone have any questions on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And item 11C is funding requests. And let's see, where do they begin, Tony? Is this the first one is tires?
Correct.
Okay.
Tires is first.
Okay, the first line, it's actually a line item transfer, 1718-20, in the amount of $1,883.77.
It's to purchase tires in the fire commission budget.
We have a
There's
memo from the chief about that. So it's a transfer from electrical to tires.
I'll make a motion for line item transfer in accordance with the material in our package.
Is there a second? Thank you, Joe. Any questions, discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next one is another line item transfer, 2018-22, in the amount of $15,000. And this is, should I just keep going?
Yeah.
Fund brush grinding that is needed to address the stockpile brush, speaking of weather, in the public works yard due to the storms that took place over the past few months. And again, it's coming from bulky waste into recycling, correct?
Which is where we do our brush grinding,
Right.
because we recycle
Right.
brush.
Okay, 15,000. So
Right.
someone like to make a motion to that effect? Approve that?
I'll make a motion we approve the line item transfer as per the material in our request in our package.
Thank you. Is there a
I'll
second?
give you a second, then I have a comment.
Yeah, so anyone second it, please?
A second.
Thank you, Terry.
The comment I have is that we've submitted this information along with our costs we've had for removing brush and trees, debris from the side of the road, which we funded earlier in the year, to a FEMA pre-assessment. So if New Haven County gets a designation from FEMA, we've submitted our costs.
So it'll help a little bit.
So each town submits a pre-assessment to see if it qualifies, and if it qualifies, then each town has to actually submit all the details behind.
So they reimburse
costs.
us for the
No, we get
line item?
reimbursed,
Oh,
correct.
okay, great.
Usually,
Fingers crossed.
Then there's a percentage reimbursement. Sometimes 75%, sometimes it's 50. It depends on.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was really good that happened, and the department got that together quickly. And it was
Yeah,
really
the
good.
state department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do
And,
we do
public
with that
works.
brush
Yeah.
after it's ground?
Pardon?
What do we do with that brush?
Some of it we keep for use around town, so we don't have to buy mulch. And I think the volume of this much, they may haul some of it away because we'll get so much of it back there. And we keep some for. It's not treated though, so it could have, poison ivy in it or other things. It's not treated mulch, so you just have to sort of be careful. It's not treated for insects or termites or.
You don't want it by your house.
So you don't want to put it by your house. I think we use it for roadside and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The next one is line item transfer number 1718-23, $2,800. Transfer needed for funds for removal of dead and dying trees on the old firehouse property. It's coming from parks, maintenance supplies, parks equipment rentals. I'll make the motion that we approve line item transfer number 1718-23 in the amount of $2,800. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good.
Another one.
There's two more.
Okay. Line item transfer 1718-24 in the amount of $5,000. This is a request for the replacement of the walkway and curbing in front of Town Hall.
So.
I'll let you take
Okay.
this one.
Yep. So we had a $10,000 budget, and this is to replace the front steps, the front walkway. If you've ever seen it, there's some trip hazards there. The bricks are crumbling. The sidewalks, the curbs are crumbling. It's kind of needs some work, and so this is to replace it with a pattern similar to the walkway out there. So
Stamped concrete or
right.
something, is that what it's called?
So
The brick.
Stamped concrete, yeah.
The brick that we have over there, it'll match.
That's the pricing anyway. That's the funding part. Then we have to go and get all the details. And if you'd like to see it beforehand, you're more than welcome to. This is just to get the funding in place. We'd like to eliminate the bricks because the bricks are problematic. They stick up in winter time. Some of them
Buckle.
they buckle a little.
Yeah.
They're crumbling.
Heaving,
Yeah.
you know, like frost heaves on the street. It's
So occasionally we have
Yeah.
people trip up, on them. So that's the main goal here, is to eliminate the trip hazard and just present a nicer look.
okay. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve line item transfer 1718-24 in the amount of $5,000. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Oh, another line item transfer.
One more.
I like these line item transfers because people are finding money within their budgets. It's very good.
The question is why and how.
Yeah. Line item transfer number 1718-25 in the amount of $3,284 for the cleanup of property at 11 Dogwood Court and securing the house from trespass. Please see the attached email from the land use analyst, Christine Sullivan. So that's in your packet. Hopefully you all had a chance to read it.
We have a house, and Jerry's a little familiar with this. We have a house that we have to, requires a cleanup. And the building official has determined that this is something that the town needs to do. And so what we'll do is we'll fund the cleanup and then put a lien on property.
Blighted.
Yeah, blighted.
We've got an enforcement action. This is going on for a while.
Yeah, it's a blighted house, yeah. And so, and then we put a lien on
It's
the property.
unoccupied too.
Where-
There's no
where's
one,
this
there's no
house
one
exactly?
there.
Dogwood.
11 Dogwood Court.
Where's that in relation to the main road?
It's up on Newton Road on the top of the hill.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Well, no, it's not.
So to move it along, I'll make the motion that we approve line item transfer number 1718-25 in the amount of $3,284. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion or questions on this?
Who owns that property?
It's unoccupied. There was a foreclosure. The bank now owns it. The bank or the lender, I don't think it's a bank, but it was a lender that owns it, and they've been not unresponsive so far. But we've started the enforcement action, so we'll be able to get this money back.
Mhm.
We're going to put a lien on the property and get it back.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's it for funding requests?
That's it.
Yay, that was a lot, okay. 11.
And just
Okay,
one
go
more
ahead.
thing on this. So if you'll notice, the contingency balance remains at $96,000. That's to address two departments, which we're not quite sure of. One is the fire department, which they've had some issues, and they'd requested a transfer earlier, a contingency request earlier that the Board of Finance had tabled till the end of the year.
That was related to that big fire
Correct.
that they had. They had a lot
Not
of...
just the fire, but all the
all
calls.
the damage because of the frozen.
We approved it and we sent it to finance, right? And they
Right.
said wait and see till the end of the year.
We did receive
Maybe
some
they could
insurance
find them.
proceeds, so that helped offset it, and so we're not 100% sure on exactly how much. We'll do that in July. And the other is police department. We're not sure if they're going to require any funds for overtime primarily. They have some money within their own budget, and so we'll know that. The overtime issue has stopped, so that there's no longer incurring overtime, but we wanted to wait till the end of the year to see. We're pushing them
Which
to
is 2 weeks, basically.
Correct. Yeah. So July we will have a better idea. And if we don't spend all that contingency, we'll use it for the tennis courts, which was the original intent. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Now we'll move on, to 11D, bid waiver for a fire department air compressor.
So the state of Massachusetts, which we used for, I believe, the breeding equipment, tanks, also has a state contract for the compressor, which fills the tanks. And it was a compressor that's compatible with the tanks that we have, and it's the budget was actually $100,000, a little over 102, I think. So it's, as you can see, $10,000, at least $10,000 less than the budget, and it's a very good price. So instead of us going out to bid for one, it's a very limited item. We feel it's beneficial to use that Massachusetts state contract.
I'll make a motion to approve that bid waiver request. As per the material in the packet.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any
So,
other- Oop, yeah.
we can take advantage of a Massachusetts state?
We could,
Contract.
if the vendor, if the contractor, the contractors usually let us.
Okay.
Yeah. Some do, some don't. We've used different states before.
I mean, I presumed we could, I just,
Yeah.
seemed weird to me. Okay.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Bid awards are next, right? These are the simulcast generators.
Just the generators, yep.
Related to our simulcast radio system project. And
So we went out to bid for the generators for the simulcast radio system, and we received 4 responses. There was a base bid of all propane generators for 3 locations, and the other alternate was for 1 diesel generator, which was on the farm, Shepherd Farm, is it?
Yeah.
Up on the hill there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then 2 propane due to the limited access, particularly in the winter. So the committee that reviewed it, and the low bid for the all propane generators, as you can see there, is Cummins, but the low bid for alternate number 1 is Huntington Power Equipment. When it was reviewed further, the although Huntington Power Equipment was the low bid,
bless you.
the Cummins generators were considered more appropriate and advantageous because of 2 reasons. One of its level 1 status that has to do with, for the NFPA, which has to do with the construction and the quality of the generator. And the second is the number of multiple answering points. In other words, you can remotely tell various things about the generator, how fast it's going, why it's out of power, or how low the fuel act, and all that stuff. Whereas the Huntington Power Equipment generator just told you whether there was a problem or not. It's kind of like an engine light. Didn't tell you what the problem
You
was.
gotta guess.
You have to guess, right? So for those 2 reasons, the committee felt the extra $3,000, whatever it is, was worth it. So that was the committee's recommendation, is to award the bid to Cummins Power Systems.
I make a motion to award that bid for the 3 generators to Cummins Power, what is it?
Cummins Power Systems.
Second.
Any other discussion, questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Up to 11F, extension of the hauling contract at the transfer station.
We have a, this is hauling is for 2 things, for for municipal solid waste and recycling. And the issue we have is the recycling contract is up June 30th with, for all the area towns. And we don't quite have it resolved yet, primarily due to the recycling. If you've been following in the news, the issues with recycling and plastics and the inability to recycle plastics has caused our, what was being discussed was we used to get, I want to say $16, $20 a ton maybe, 16, I forget the exact amount, but we used to get money for recycling because it was like a composite amount based on all different items. And now the vendors are looking to charge the towns $50 to $60 a ton. So we're going from getting money to paying, largely because of the issue with plastics.
Ouch.
So it's in a little bit of flux right now. So I'm not exactly sure where it's going to wind up, and if we're going to still be transporting our recycling to the same place. So we felt it would be more advantageous to just continue our contract with our existing vendor and have the right to cancel with 30 days should something change, or all of a sudden they tell us that we have to go here. I mean, it's sort of in flux right now, so it didn't make sense to lock in for a year and go out to bid on it. So there's a 2% increase, which we thought was more than fair. They haven't gone up in 2 years. That was a 3-year bid the last time we did it. So that's our request.
Okay.
So,
I'll make a motion
okay, we'll make that motion that we approve the 1 year.
to approve the 1-year contract extension with All American Waste.
Great,
Second.
thank you. Any other discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay,
I have another.
and another.
And I apologize for the lateness of this, but I actually forgot to put it in the package, and we had gone out to bid for brush grinding, which we mentioned earlier there was a transfer request for, and so we had $5,000, believe it or not, for brush grinding, and Warren wanted to transfer 15. That's 20. The remaining 15 is in the new year, so we're going to sort of combine the 2 years to do $35,000 worth of brush grinding, which is how much we have in the back of Public Works, if you've seen the piles of brush back there. So usually we do $5, $8, maybe $10,000 if we have a bad year, and that's how much this brush grinding.
But now we have no money for next year.
So we're going to be doing it for the beginning of next year. If we get a lot of brush next year, we're going to have to
find money.
Yeah.
But
And
you're saying
there wasn't a lot of
typical-
contingency to transfer the whole thing. Usually actually, and sometimes we'll wait 2 years and then, we'll do like 8,000, 10,000. Could be
Yeah,
5.
we could pilot it for a year.
Yeah, right. If we don't get a lot of storms and it's an average year, we can pilot for a couple of years and do it in the following year or something. It's just we've had so much in the last 3-4 months.
So we have a pile now we have to dispose
We have to get rid of. Right. Right. Warren keeps saying he's running out of space back there.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve bid 2018-14 for brush grinding services to John's Refuse and Recycling for $35,000. Is that what you want?
Yeah. This is
Okay.
a good example as to why you go out to bid.
Yep.
You can see the 4 prices.
Right. Exactly.
51, 43, 84, and 35.
Yeah.
Quite a difference.
Yeah.
84.
Yeah.
All the way down. Wow. Yep. Okay, so this motion, somebody seconded it. Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other?
Nope, that's it.
Moved it and seconded it.
I made it. Joe
I
seconded.
second.
Okay. No other.
Nope, that's it.
Yay. Okay. 5 minutes. Okay. We'll
Keep
skip
going.
over item 12 because Sheila is not here. She's not a little under the weather. And we'll go to item 13.
Town council
Yeah,
report.
yeah, that's you.
So very, very brief, we have, as you all know, the Child Center of Woodbridge leases space from the town at the center for a preschool program, nursery school program, and they've been doing that for years. Their lease, that we have a lease with them, their lease is over the end of June 30th, and we've been negotiating a new lease. Basically, they want to stay, they pay us a fair amount of rent, and I apologize for not getting this to you because we just finished negotiating the contract with their lawyer, who's a lawyer in Hartford. We just finished actually yesterday, and there's still one paragraph that has to be changed, but we have an agreement. So the rent for the rent that we charge for the new term, they've asked for a 5-year lease. It's 3 years with 2 one-year options, so it's a total of 5 years if they want to exercise their option. The rent just for and we've increased the rent from this past year, the last year under their existing rent, by 2.5%, and the rent goes up 2.5% every year during the main term of the lease, the 3 years, and it goes up 2.5% in each of the renewal year term. The rent we get, just so you have an example, from July 1, 2018 to June 30th, 2019 is $58,758 annually, $58.75 a month, and that goes up 2% for July 1st, 2019 to 20 to $60,227. Then it goes up to $61,732.80, and it goes up accordingly in the 2 option years. So it's a total of, it's actually a 3-year term with 2 one-year renewals. We've taken basically, for the most part, the exact same lease we've been operating under the past 5 years. They've exercised their options for the last 2 years, and we have an agreement. And the only thing that is missing is Tony is negotiating a Schedule A that gets attached to this, which is some request that they have made for the town to make some minor maintenance issues and some repairs, which Tony feels he's going to work out with the.
We'll work it out with the existing director.
There's only a few items. There's 3 or 4.
Is that the Senate building?
Senate building.
Yeah.
Yes, they have room 7, 8, 9, and 10. I
Right.
think they have 3 used.
And they use the courtyard.
And they pay us an extra
$1,000
$1,000
for the courtyard.
for the courtyard. A month.
A month.
Yes.
No, is it? No, for the whole year.
For the whole year.
Yeah.
So that's it. And I'd ask that you approve the lease if you guys want to approve it, and we will enter into. Beth will be authorized to sign it.
Someone want to make a motion to that
I'll
effect?
make a motion.
Perhaps pending the minor thing of Schedule A or whatever.
Schedule A
and-
pending
and
Tony
everything
agreement.
else is fine.
Everything else is done.
Okay. So you made that motion?
Yes.
Carrie?
Just how you said
Is there a
it.
second?
Second.
Anyone have any other questions? Or?
What did they request for maintenance?
It was some painting, some window repairs.
What about the floor?
The
Some of them they
common area
requested we
floor
didn't
or
think
the,
worked.
The corridor?
well,
To polish the floor,
Just polished?
strip it and wax it. Right? So I'm thinking out here. Some electrical improvements. Those are the ones I can think of.
that's about it.
Okay.
I have the before they gave us a list of 13 items, and I said, in no way would we do this. And then then the lawyer said, well, why don't you have Tony talk to our person and narrow it down? And Tony had provide secure lockable doors, repair the windows in the premises so they open and close properly, not unreasonable.
Right.
Establish, maintain, and regularly communicate a schedule for the gym and yoga room. Repair, upgrade to the electrical system. Repair and maintain the ceiling and crown molding in the hallway. Paint the common hallway ceiling in bricks. I'm just giving you the clean the heating ducts in each room to
that's
remove
one
dirt.
thing, heating
Yes.
ducts, yeah.
Strip and wax the common area
That's
hallways.
one, yeah.
And then convert the existing 220-volt service to 110, which we said no. So that's basically. And there's only about 3 or 4 of those items that we're actually going to agree to do.
Do you know what we net out of that building from them, from their rent? We have some overhead in there.
I haven't calculated their
You'd have to
electricity.
prorate it
I'd have to
all.
prorate the electricity and the
Right.
gas.
It's hard to tell. But this is pretty. Well, I would say substantially all of it is profit because there's not that much upkeep that we do.
Yeah, I guess the question
Well,
is,
the
do we have
heating
any
would
other
be-
use for that space?
That was the question.
Because we lose, we're
They've been
really
there for a
short
long
of
time.
space. I don't want to, I mean, it's good income, but that would be a question to ask, do we have any other use for that space?
I wouldn't touch this. That's a popular, that's a
Yeah,
popular.
quite a few Woodbridge residents are saying.
So we have a
It's a
motion
very
and it
popular
has been
program.
seconded?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
haven't voted.
All right, I will call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
That's it? Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Well, look-
I wasn't fast enough. Look around the room.
Hold on.
Okay, thank you all.
Bet.
All right, thanks. Okay, at 7 o'clock. Yay.
All right.
Here we got to go back in the book though now. Hold on. Item 8. Just hold on 1 minute. We'll get there. Okay. In accordance with Section 12-632 of the Connecticut General Statutes, parens, the R.E. Van Nordstrand Neighborhood Assistance Act, in parens, I now call this public hearing to order to receive comments on the applications received for the 2016.
Whoops. Sorry.
What?
It says 2016.
I got that part. I'm reading it and saying, no. Okay.
2018.
2018 Neighborhood Assistance Act. This legal, you got this part right. The legal notice was published in the Woodbridge Town News on Friday, May 25th, 2018. Is there a motion to waive the reading of the legal notice?
So moved.
Is there a second? And all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the public present regarding the applications from Amity Teen Center at 10 Selden Street or the Massaro Community Farm at 41 Ford Road? Seeing no comments from the public, has the clerk received any additional written comments?
No, I have not.
I
Not
now
as
declare.
4:32.
Okay, thank you. I now declare this public hearing closed. Now we move on to action, which is item 9. Sorry, guys. Is there a motion to accept the following applications for the 2018 Neighborhood Assistance Act and forward them to the Department of Revenue Services for processing? A, the Amity Teen Center application in the amount of $24,950 for energy efficient projects, and B, the Massaro Community Farm in the amount of $25,000 for seasonal food donation program.
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All done. Back to our, let's see, we're up to item 14 now, which is Town Clerk's Report. You have in your packet the distribution report dated May 1st, 2018 through May 31st, 2018, and you also have the annual report July 1, 17 through May 31st, 2018. Is there a motion to
Make a motion
accept
to
these?
approve the, accept the 2 town clerk reports.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Let's see, appointments. As you know, a vacancy was created last month when we approved an alternate member on the Board of Town Plan and Zoning to a full member position. At that time, Joe and David had a nominee for the alternate position. There was no agenda item to vote on that position, so we tabled it until this evening. So I will ask for an appointment for Town Plan and Zoning alternate to June 30th. It's pretty much just about a year appointment to June 30th, 2019. Joe, do you have a nomination?
Yes, I nominate Attorney Yamni Zamir. His resume is in our documents, and we're very fortunate to have a man of such high qualifications.
Thank you. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. You had a nominee, but you don't have. Do you have a nominee?
We don't have
this
any
one?
nominee,
Okay.
no.
All right. Thank you. So we will vote now on the nomination of Yoni Zamir to the position of alternate on the Town Plan and Zoning Commission to June 30th, 2019. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Minutes. I hope I got this right. First set of minutes is April 11th, 2018. Is that the first set, Jerry?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of April 17th, Board of Selectmen regular meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any corrections, changes on those? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next set of minutes is the Board of Selectmen regular meeting of May 9th, 2018. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion, changes, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Board of Selectmen special meeting, May 23rd, 2018. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Thank you. Any changes, corrections, additions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there another one? Yep. Is that it? Jerry, do I have them all?
Yes, I think
Okay.
just double checking.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I added this item to the agenda. We have a regular scheduled meeting for Wednesday, November 14th, and I will be out of town, so I would like to propose now that we move the meeting to Tuesday, November 13th, the day before. It's the week before Thanksgiving, so hopefully you get an extra day early before Thanksgiving occurs. Did everybody have a chance to check the calendar?
What's the date?
What I'm proposing is Tuesday,
Tuesday.
November 13th from the 14th, and the room is available here. Jerry checked, or Betsy checked, I can't remember, I don't know.
I'm going to be,
We can come up with an alternative, but
That's
that
fine.
doesn't work for
Fine for
all,
me.
because
I
it's
don't
important,
know.
it's my,
I think
My-
I'm back. Yeah, I'm okay.
does that work for everybody right now?
Yeah, I could do
No.
that. Tuesday.
Okay.
Same time, 5 o'clock.
Yes, and it will be then a special meeting, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have to motion on this? Its action is appropriate, do we have to motion to, no?
You don't need a motion. no.
Okay. So
You
put it
just
in your
note it as a
books. and-
special meeting,
Right,
that's all.
okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And moving along to the Assistant Administrative Officer's report. Betsy.
At our last meeting, I spoke briefly about a research project I was doing to look into options.
Bring the microphone closer to you, please. Thank you.
At our last meeting, I talked a little bit about some research I was doing into what we might do to streamline some of the A-frame signs that are used for events in town. And I saw what a lot of other towns across the state and across the country do. And I drafted a proposed process based on what others do. So this is just written up as if this is what we would do, but obviously this is open to discussion. And my thought was, in thinking about signs that would be more permanent, we already have a very nice wayfinding program, conceptually at least. And I thought if we're going to be installing more signs on town property, that we should follow the design that's already been created for us to use, so that there's more uniformity with our signs. So at the bottom of this proposed process, on the left you see the signs that have been designed for the town, and on the right is well, it's an example in another town, but I'm thinking that we might be able to modify our design so that we've got 3 spots per physical sign to have 3 messages at a time at the locations that that are decided on.
Can do that. Yeah, it's good.
My other thought is that if this is something you are all in favor of, that if we're lucky enough, we could get an Eagle Scout to do this for free.
To build
To build them.
signs.
Yep.
So I have a question. Would this prevent people from putting those sandwich boards
In
in
theory.
in the intersections?
In theory.
Sort of the idea.
I was just kidding.
Maybe we won't have
nice.
to pull over at the triangle every time we want to see what's going on. It's sort of to create a cleaner,
Less cluttered.
less
look.
cluttered.
Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't go forward with the wayfinding
No, it was,
budgetary
we had
basis,
we had the
basically.
proposals. I remember when Ellen
Yeah.
did it, but it was cost
Right, so
prohibitive.
for budgetary reasons we didn't. But,
Right.
but we paid them for
Right.
their work.
Right, and we
Correct.
pay them for the designs and for the schematics and all that
Because I'm going to
stuff.
say, if we're going to use their designs,
Yeah.
we have to
Yeah,
pay
we
for
paid,
it.
yeah, we did, yeah.
Yeah, we paid that, and that was paid for with leftover funds from a grant. And as Beth mentioned earlier in the meeting during her remarks, been looking into public-private partnerships, and one option is to hopefully find sponsors who would help us pay for these signs. And there would be some type of recognition, maybe a smaller sign attached to the larger sign with the sponsor's name on it, or something along those lines. So we'll be working on those details, because I think the program would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Boy Scouts do their projects by the Eagle Scout projects, but they have to fundraise for the materials, correct?
Usually the materials are donated.
So then that would be a perfect
Right, they do the
partnership.
labor, and usually Home
Right.
Depot. Home Depot
Yeah.
has been very good about donating materials.
Does the high school still have like shop and things like that?
They do.
I mean, I might sound like an idiot.
I'm
but
out of there
in
for
my
a
day, we
long
had
time.
shop and all that.
They have
2006.
auto,
So maybe that's
Industrial
another way
arts.
we could
woodwork,
do it.
Industrial arts, we call it.
industrial.
Here's a nice sign.
Yeah.
No more home ec though.
No more home ec.
No, you cannot make pillows.
I used to make an apron that fell apart as soon as I did it.
Would these be adequate, though? Adequate space for the menagerie of signs that we have on the triangle?
Well,
from
people are going to
time
have to
time?
think about booking, correct? Once we,
Right, so this contemplates, and this is obviously up for debate, but this contemplates that people can make their reservations for their signs as early as, December for the coming year. So if you're, let's say, you're the library and you always have your book sale on a certain weekend, or the plant sale, or the strawberry festival, you could go ahead and put your request in right then. The road race is always the same weekend in September. So we have a lot of annual events that are always on the
Right.
same date. The other thing is that I've thought of 4 locations where this could go, so that right there means 12 different signs all at once. I looked through our records down in the building department where they keep applications for, I'm going to butcher the name, eleemosynary signs, which are these temporary signs. And not everybody files an application for them, but there were never 12 at a time. Yeah. And there are certain times of year that are more popular than others. Obviously, February, there are not a lot of events going
But I
on.
would imagine people advertising an event would want to advertise it at every spot.
Right.
Well, I think, each spot would have the same thing.
Would have the same thing.
Well, not
So that's up to
Necessarily.
state. Other towns
Right.
have. So I have a couple examples here of other towns. So in Gahanna, Ohio, they have 10 boards across town, and each board can accommodate 2 different signs. They only allow organizations to request up to 5 locations at a time. So we could play off of that. There are a lot of different ways to do this, but if we are starting with my suggested 4 locations, maybe we don't limit people.
Betsy also
Well,
suggested.
But if they don't all have the same thing, then how do people know to go? You know, how are you going to get?
Right.
See, some of these
It
signs
seems
are.
to me they all have to have the same, and then you know you can go to those locations, but you're going to get the same information.
Some of these events are fundraising events, and they may be the only fundraising event for that, community activity, and they really depend on advertising. I mean, the Boy Scouts for one. The
Well, they can
Congregational
still
Church.
request banners and things, right? I mean, or is this to replace banners too, or just the sandwich?
Well, I think that's based on what you all decide and what you want.
I mean, if you want to clean up that nonsense on the triangle, this would work.
For those.
I personally have
sandwich
always
boards.
liked a banner. I talked about that, like they have an orange across, they just change it every time there's an event, but
Yeah.
that's up to all of you to.
Okay.
The good thing, I think, is this contemplates keeping us organized, and I think we have someone at Town Hall who's agreed to sort of keep the dates. So, because I know every time we vote on, well, who's on what date and who's doing 2 weeks here and
That's
3
true.
weeks here, and it's just,
Yeah.
it becomes a spaghetti pile. So hopefully we can untangle some of that by doing this.
Right,
It'll
and to
help
Beth's
out.
point, this contemplates that the organizational aspect is maintained in the first selectman's office, which would also help us because we would know all of the, hopefully, know the events going on, and we would have the information, and we could put that information on the town calendar.
Right. It brings it in, because sometimes we don't know until someone says, why isn't it up on the town website? Well, you didn't tell us, so we didn't know to put it up, and it's sort of, hopefully we can, as I said, clean up the
Seems to
spaghetti
make
mess.
sense.
So, that's great. Thanks, Betsy.
So are there things, additional questions people have, or more details you would like me to think about with this?
I mean, I think it's a great idea. I don't know that we want to spend a lot of money on it because we didn't spend a lot of money on the wayfinding. And I think it's a great idea.
Hopefully we won't have to. We're
If
looking
we can
for
find
close
ways
to
to get it
Zippo
done,
as far as budget.
We can look at
Well,
sponsor ideas
Yeah,
or
all of it, right.
all the other ways to fund
Yeah,
it.
I agree with you.
So I did speak with one scout master, if that's the right terminology, who said that he had 2 Eagle Scouts who may be interested in this. So if this is something that the board likes, I would follow up with him and see if there's any interest from either one of those.
Well, I mean, the way these signs are designed, they're probably drop-in placards for each event, and I would think that
Drop in or slide in.
That each organization could make their own if they're annual events, and then they could just drop them in or slide them in.
Yeah, so
The
this
only
is
expense
asking
would be
that
for
they
the
come
frame.
in through town hall, and then town hall is responsible for
They would have
swapping
to be
them.
within specifications and have to fit in.
And this way, we're also not leaving something up for an extended period of time. It's up for the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks, whatever the time period is that's decided.
It'll become much more manageable than it
I
is
hope.
right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks.
Good job. I like that. I like how it looks.
Very
Is
nice
there a
look.
consensus there that Betsy should go forward with this study?
I think so.
Yeah, I
mean,
would.
especially if we can find an Eagle Scout.
I'd call the high
three
school.
Boy Scout troops in this town.
Yeah.
Should be able to find some talent.
Great way to do it.
Okay, am I allowed to make a comment about the second executive session, just to tell
Sure.
everyone that we're going to go out of order? We added 19, which is the former country club property proposals update, and we were going to go into executive session if I had any data for you. However, you had asked Tony and I to get information from the 3 groups who have given us preliminary draft proposals. We did speak with all 3,
We did.
either on the phone or in
Yep.
person, and they are all working to get us that information that you requested, but unfortunately, we do not have anything for this evening. So item 19A is off the agenda. And with that, I will make a motion that we go into executive session for item 18B pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Section 1-200, parens 6, and parens C, and parens safety and emergency guidance.
I'm always here for that reason.
Okay, I know. Okay, my apologies.
That's quite all right.
We thought we'd have
Kind of
something and we
interesting.
don't. I'm sorry, but okay. Thank you.
So
I'll make that
second
motion.
that. I'll second that
And
motion.
I gotta invite.
Jackie, take a cookie from my phone.
Of course. And I will invite in Attorney Weiner and Tony Jennings.